Chris Smith was a real surfer. He dedicated his life to this. He loved it.
Chris was tall, dark, and handsome. Women were drawn to him. Very all-American surfer / business casual professional guy.
Chris grew up in Watsonville, California, which is outside of the beach town Santa Cruz. It was a place where he got really into things like wakeboarding and surfing. A good place for a guy who was athletic and liked to do stuff outdoors.
I don't know many brothers that were as close as we were. We just had a unique bond. Ever since I was really little, he felt like he was there to protect me, to provide for me.
Were he and Paul always as close as they were towards, in their later years?
Always. They're just the best of friends. We had just a great childhood. My dad was a firefighter. My mom was a preschool teacher. We lived on a private ski lake, so we grew up water skiing, wakeboarding.
Chris wasn't a gifted student. He was dyslexic, but devilishly smart. Where he really excelled was in sports, especially water sports.
Chris was almost like an adrenaline junkie. He had more of a drive than anybody else out on the lake.
Chris was known for his audacious tricks. He would try things that other people just thought were simply too dangerous. And it was doing one of those tricks that he blew out his Achilles tendon, and that was it for his pro wakeboarding career.
The water was his source of relief. Loved to surf, loved to be at the beach.
He was a lot of fun. I felt like he was always the life of the party. Like people just gravitated towards him. He was always full of adventure.
If you think about Chris Smith, you got to remember he loved the ocean, loved action, loved beautiful cars. So he had that sort of quest for adrenaline. He liked that, thrived on that.
Outwardly, he was the jock, the surfer, the extreme sports guy. He looked the part. He just sort of fit that stereotype of the beach guy. But his friends say that he always had ambitions. He had plans.
He was very passionate about what he did, but he was very interested in being successful and making money. He wanted it all.
His dreams involved, having a good amount of cash. And so he was striving to be able to travel the world, to be very successful in business. Chris Smith is doing great. He's living in Orange County. He's got an apartment on Laguna Beach. Orange County attracts very wealthy people. Rich people, famous people, just south of Los Angeles. A lot of the movie stars, a lot of the famous athletes wound up moving to Orange County, particularly in the area that Chris lived in. Beautiful houses, beautiful boats, beautiful cars, all of them. He's driving a Range Rover. He's surfing whenever he wants. He's encountered great business success in the lead generation business.
Debt 10,000 offers services to get you out of debt fast.
Chris becomes involved in this extremely lucrative part of the advertising and marketing industry that sells sales leads from people calling into 800 numbers. And he teams up with a man named Ed Shin, another young, promising entrepreneur. And together, they form a company called the 800 Exchange.
800 Exchange got to be very successful. They reached a point where they were making millions of dollars.
After years of that free-spirited beach guy lifestyle of chasing waves and beautiful women, well, guess what happens? Chris meets perhaps the one, a wonderful woman named Erica, and she seemed to fill every void when it came to romance.
Tell me about his girlfriend, Erica.
She was sweet. Yeah, I was looking forward to having her as a sister-in-law.
Did it seem like it was serious?
Yeah, I could tell that he really liked her. He had expressed to me that he was thinking about getting even more serious in terms of proposing to her, so I knew he really liked her.
She had said then she just loved him so much, and he had told his father he loved her.
Did you think that, he may propose?
We did.
Yeah,
we thought he was talking about it.
You know, if you looked at Chris from the outside, you would see this hunky guy living in beautiful Southern California who has this incredibly lucrative job, this beautiful ballet dancer with dazzling green eyes as a girlfriend, and you think he has it all. But there were signs of stress. The company that he had founded with Ed Shin, it starts to look like it could be in jeopardy.
Chris was always talking to his friends about, hey, we should quit all this. He had visions of these faraway places and that he could live a simpler life there.
If you knew Chris, you would know about how he believed in conspiracy theories and certain things. He was like anti-government and taxes, like we shouldn't pay taxes, that kind of thing.
He wanted to make it big so that he could cut out. He was quite dissatisfied in many ways with the modern world.
And it looks like 31-year-old Chris Smith finally makes the decision to do just that. Sever all ties and just get off the grid. Chris emails his family telling them that he and Ed met and they reached an agreement. Ed had bought him out of his share of the company they founded, 800 Exchange.
Everyone knew that Chris was a free spirit and that he wanted adventure. But it was a little bit surprising when suddenly, unannounced, they find out through emails that Chris is off the grid. He's leased a yacht. He's gone on a world-traveling adventure. But nobody knew about it until they got these sudden emails.
Monday, June 7th, 2010. I'm going on a vacation. Probably 3-week trip to Galapagos Islands in Costa Rica. Love you too.
It made total sense to you that Chris would just up and leave it all.
Yeah. I remember him in the kitchen saying, I'm so over all of it. I'm just going to be done. I'm going to go be a bartender on the beach.
Amazing sailing for the past 2 weeks. There's no internet or phones, just us and the sea.
Every surfer has this dream of sailing off into the sunset with a bunch of money and a beautiful woman. In this case, the problem is it was not Erica.
Chris sends Paul an email, and attached to it is a picture of his traveling companion, and she is stunning. She's a former Playboy playmate, Tiffany Taylor.
This may seem like Chris's dream trip, but it's nothing but a nightmare for Erica. So through a message from Chris, she learns she's been tossed overboard.
You know, most people would be like, a Playboy playmate? Come on. But Chris was good looking enough, wealthy enough that actually made total sense.
Yep.
I remember I got one email from Erica, and she was really mad, and she said, what the, is going on? Is he bipolar? And I said, well, no, sometimes he just needed to get away.
There's only my friend and me and the crew. I miss you guys too. I see things so much more clearly now because I've unplugged myself with that crazy society and fast lane, something I should have done so much sooner.
Basically was saying, I'm headed to Peru, I'm gonna travel a bit. And I remember saying, wow, I love you, take pics, have a great time.
I'll be home probably around early to mid-August. Want to get up to Buenos Aires if possible. The seas are choppy, sometimes smooth.
At first, Chris said that this trip would last a couple of weeks. Those weeks turn into months, and suddenly he's on this sort of round-the-world epic adventure.
Hey guys, I just finally docked in Ushuaia, a port in Argentina. We have about 20 to 25 more islands to explore.
The question as these emails develop is he running to something or is he running away from something? Because as time went on, originally it looked like he just needed a break. And then the emails started to look like he might have been running from something.
Show me the truth. Show me the truth.
Chris has dropped off the grid and he has taken off to this wonderful surf trip with a beautiful woman. He's got no phone, he's got no camera, and they're only getting periodic emails regarding what he's doing. And as time goes on, the emails take a downright sinister turn.
Chris was emailing, stuff about, not wanting to come back
just paint a picture that he was kind of losing sight of who he was.
His messages are not the kinds of things you'd really expect. So they're wondering, what is going on?
Show me the truth.
This past year and a half was such a nightmare for me. And I even contemplated doing unspeakable things because I was so stressed, angry, scared, and confused.
At that point, it was just, this isn't making any sense. This guy, he's lost his mind,
Chris's family didn't know what to think because he seemed so up in some of his emails, and then he talks about even contemplating suicide.
Yeah, we were replying the best way we could to comfort him, to reassure him, do anything we could.
Yeah, they were super worried.
I don't know if I'll ever get over some of the things in my life. But this traveling and living on a sustenance level has really started to change how I see things and what matters to me. I'm actually journaling now. And one day I'll share some of the things I wrote down about our relationship growing up and happened within our family.
This disclosure about problems that Chris said he experienced as a kid, this comes out of nowhere for the family. As far as they knew, he'd never experienced any emotional trauma.
That was strange to me because we had a good relationship. What he was saying wasn't true.
It was just like someone that was just very conflicted. And so that's when it got really alarming to my parents. When they started getting emails like that about my brother's past and childhood, and we started to have suspicions, but didn't want to entertain that train of thought too much because of where it would lead to. I think it was so emotionally hard to even think about.
Chris has been gone for several months now, and his emails reflect a lot of mood changes, erratic behavior almost. So in the beginning, he's very happy. Then he reveals that he's very depressed, considering the unthinkable. Then he goes back to feeling very happy and adventurous once again. According to his emails, Chris has now ditched the playmate and he's on his own.
As time goes on, the family gets increasingly worried, and they begin to wonder, are there some clues that we've missed?
What would make him turn away from all the things he held so dear? So naturally, it makes sense that they want to talk to his old business partner, Ed Chin. What might he know?
Ed Chin was the son of immigrants, and he grew up in a conservative Christian home. And they demanded achievement from him, and that's what he delivered. He was a really good student. He was a good athlete. Pretty much everything he did well. And eventually, he goes to UC San Diego.
On paper, Ed Chin was more naturally set up for success. Chris struggled in school. He didn't make it through college. Ed was doing all the right things, getting his degree, getting his first jobs. He had sort of the more obvious path to becoming successful in business. Ed Chin was an upstanding member of his community. He was a married father of 3. He was the member of a Christian megachurch and was religious, dressed very nicely. He just looked the part of the successful business and family man.
Ed and his wife were members of our church here in Temecula, California.
Joseph Gray, who's actually run successful companies, and he's a completely legitimate businessman. And he meets Shin in this church group Bible study.
I thought he had some skills that ironically were in the vein of what we were looking for as we were starting a new company called Lead Generation Technologies.
Listen up, America.
Have you been denied credit?
Lead generation, if you hear this ad that says, reduce your credit card debt, get a new mortgage, and they tell you an 800 number at the end of it. You call in, they take down your information, and then they actually sell that off to companies that are in the mortgage business or in the credit card business.
A few examples up here.
The Tax 10,000 network has helped people all over America.
Call 800. So it's really just a way of grabbing customers and selling them off to the highest bidder.
So call us now.
So the more phone calls that are generated by these television ads, the more money your company gets.
So this is how Google makes most of its revenue today. They sell clicks online.
Right.
We're selling phone calls.
So Shin is hired by Joseph Gray. Joseph Gray gives him a job, and it's a position of trust.
What I really needed was somebody to go out there and develop a marketplace for the leads that we would be generating off of our television advertising. And I felt he could be employee number one. We gave him that kind of title.
In early 2008, Ed and Chris, who are both working in the lead generation industry, meet each other and hit it off.
And Ed recommended to Joseph that this guy Chris he's a promising up-and-comer. I think we should bring him on board at LG Technologies.
On the sales side, Chris would have been employee number two, but I would say that at that moment, Ed and Chris were kind of the face of the company. So I was optimistic. The guys seemed to know what they were doing. It seemed like they were executing and we were growing.
Now, the key to building a successful lead generation company is finding buyers that are willing to pay big money for those leads, those calls that come into the 800 number. To find those buyers, there is no better place, perhaps on earth, than the convention circuit in Las Vegas. That's where Ed goes to try to rustle up these buyers. While Chris is back at LG Technologies, Ed is trying to entice these new clients with parties and booze and women. Along for the ride at one of these incredibly lavish junkets to Las Vegas is one of Joe Gray's most trusted employees. He's an ex-Marine called Michael Montgomery. So we landed in Vegas. We get picked up by the Phantom Fury Rolls Royce that was part of the wing. They pull us up to the entry of the wing. The suite was bigger than any room I've ever seen. 3 bedrooms. It had a massage room, its own dining room.
Just picture this. One of the nicest hotels in Las Vegas. It is a 2-story suite with butler service, its own billiard room, and an elevator.
Ed would hire what are known as atmosphere models or arm candy models, and these are beautiful women in Las Vegas who, for a fee, will come and hang out at your party. So it would just look like to Ed's associates, like, this guy's the coolest guy in town, because look, he shows up and suddenly these women flock to him.
My early impressions of Ed were he seemed very charming, but then there were sides of him that I really started to see that were not so charming.
Ed Shin had 2 lives. He's got his church-going, upstanding community member life in Orange County, and then it turns out he had a real love of gambling. And he was the type of player who could win or lose $100,000 in the space of a couple hours.
I come down and I'm walking through the casino floor and I saw Ed sitting right at the blackjack table. I would suspect that he had about $20,000 worth of chips sitting at the table.
Ed Shin is gambling so much money in Vegas that they comp him that suite.
I heard crazy stuff like that. I felt based on the relationship that we developed, things I had done for him personally, I felt that there would be some measure of loyalty. That Ed might be one of the last people that would take advantage of my generosity and kindness. But it all boiled down to one salient point in my mind. Ed was living beyond his means. I think I spent the next week working from my home, trying to figure out what's going on here, because we knew there was some fraud that had taken place. I think it was at that moment that I realized, oh boy, we've got a big problem. I learned we've been bamboozled here.
Ed was embezzling the money out of LG Tech.
At the same time that Ed was supposedly being the president of LG Technologies, looking out for that company's interests, He had formed a rival company doing more or less the same thing.
Ed and Chris have launched their own company, 800 Exchange. Ed Shin had embezzled a lot of money from Joe and stole clients. In this partnership between Chris and Ed, Chris has just under 50% stake.
And while this is a fresh start with a brand new company, Ed is still up to his old tricks. So at home, he's this model husband and family man. On the road, he's a high-stakes gambler and a womanizer.
800 Exchange was by far the biggest opportunity that Chris had had.
They were generating 1,500 phone calls a day. They were making money hand over fist. These were the heady days of making money, and they were killing it.
And given what you just said, it sounds like the vast majority of that was profit.
About 80% of it was profit.
When the business took off, Chris's circumstances were transformed. He was putting down roots. It just seemed like that thing he'd been reaching for so long was finally there for him.
He bought, along with Ed, a bunch of gold coins.
In 2009, Chris Smith starts increasing his stockpile of gold, and his favorite form of gold is this. It's called a Krugerrand. It's minted by the South African government, and in 2009, an ounce of one of these is worth about $1,000, and it's very popular among people like Chris Smith who don't trust banks or governments. How much gold did Chris have?
I don't know the full amount, but it was tens of thousands of dollars that he stored in his condo.
While Ed and Chris are trying to get this company off the ground, Ed is living the high life. The finest suits, the most luxurious car, the most lavish trips to Las Vegas.
How often do you think Ed took people to Vegas?
A couple times a month, once a month.
When he was in Vegas, he liked to party. He liked to be around beautiful women. He liked to be at the center of the action. He wanted to be, instead of that sort of squeaky clean nerd in the golf club, he wanted to be the cool guy at the center of the action in Las Vegas.
In 2009, while Chris's business, the 800 Exchange, is taking off, he invites his younger brother, Paul, to come work with him there. Chris is only 2 years older than Paul, but not only have they always been incredibly close, but Paul says that he saw Chris as something of a protector and a supporter. When Chris asked you to come down to Orange County, what was his pitch?
My brother said, we have a successful lead gen company. It's already been up and running for a couple months. We'd like you to come and work for us and be in sales.
We flew down to look at rentals because we wanted to move down there once Paul started working for Chris, and Ed let us use his car, took us out to lunch. I held his kids.
He was very charming. He's a religious guy, had a family.
At this point, Ed and Chris are living large, spending a lot of money. It's also at this point that Joe Gray completes his audit and realizes that Ed Shin has been diverting business, embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars, stealing clients. How much money do you think Ed Shin embezzled from you?
We think it's like $2.5 million in total.
That's a lot of money.
That is a heartbreaking dollar amount.
At what point did you feel like you understood the totality of Ed Shin's personality?
I think during that week of that Perry Mason forensic audit exercise I went through, I lived it. I lived the betrayal.
Ed was the perfect Jekyll and Hyde.
Joseph Gray extended a helping hand to Ed when he really needed that help. Ed responded by biting the hand that was feeding him.
I had a mandate. My mandate was hold him accountable. Do whatever I had to do to make sure that the district attorney in Riverside County would hold him accountable.
This case won't be that hard to prosecute because they've got records, they've got documents, they've got proof that Shin is skimming money from the company. And he's using it to pay off big gambling debts, high-priced cars and clothes and women. In the end, he's charged in October of 2009 with felony embezzlement.
Chris Smith is realizing day by day that Ed Shin, his partner, is a crook.
He did not care who he hurt or how he hurt people to get what he wanted. With a straight face, he would look you in the eye and be stealing from you. Who does that?
Chris, his senses were on high alert. He wrote his attorney. He said, Ed is itching for a way to commit fraud against me. You got to keep that from happening.
So just a week after he moved to Laguna to take this job with 800X, Ed's arrested for embezzling from LG.
It was brand new city, new job, and then the boss is arrested. You're like, what?
It was a shock to us, distressing. We just brought our kids down there.
Ed got out immediately. When Paul approached Ed, he kind of smoothed it over like, well, no, it's fine. You don't need to worry about it. It's taken care of.
Chris was shocked by it too. And I asked Chris, if he had anything to do with it, and he said, absolutely not.
The impact of the lawsuit against Ed was really the moment at which the veil was lifted and Chris could see that Ed was just somebody to watch out for.
And this company was making money. I mean, I heard something maybe a few months later, but to the tune of $1 million a month.
The company, was doing very well. There was a lot of money floating around.
Even in the face of this serious embezzlement case, the company 800 Exchange is still making quite a bit of profit. And that means for Ed continuing his lavish lifestyle, which includes the trips to Las Vegas.
Ed would sometimes bring members of 800 Exchange with him to Las Vegas to talk business and to have some fun.
I saw him at the tables. No one ever knew how much money he was spending. My brother didn't have access to the business accounts.
I remember sitting on the couch with Chris. I said, where are all your financial records? He said, well, Ed handles all that. And I'm like, there should be complete transparency there, especially given his past behavior.
At what point do you really become suspicious of him?
March of 2010, things started to change. I could tell my brother's relationship with Ed had soured a little bit.
Chris started to realize that Ed was someone who couldn't be trusted. He had swindled from his previous company, and it seems that Chris started to wonder if he did it before, why wouldn't he do it again?
Chris is realizing that he's in business with a con man.
Chris is concerned that Ed is going to steal Chris's rightful share of the 800 Exchange, and so he hires a lawyer, Ernesto Aldevar.
Chris came to me and he said, my partner is a liar, and I'm afraid that he's going to take all the money that we're making. I need your help to see if we can't secure some of my interests.
Ed Shin is convicted of felony embezzlement in May of 2010. And then he reaches an agreement on the sentence. To avoid prison time, he'll pay restitution of roughly $800,000.
And the only way he does not violate his probation and go to state prison is if he comes up with $800,000 that he has to get from 800 Exchange. The only way he can get that out of 800 Exchange is if Chris Smith agrees.
Because Chris Smith is a part owner of the 800 Exchange, Ed needs Chris's signature to free up the funds that Ed is going to need to resolve that settlement deal.
Chris didn't want to sign a settlement because he wanted to make sure that the money that belonged to him was secure. There was a deadline for the settlement to be signed. We knew that it was early the week of June 7th.
Ed was under a lot of pressure from a lot of fronts. He owed $800,000 in a settlement to LG. He allegedly had some big gambling debts in Las Vegas to pay off. He's becoming cornered financially.
So you've got this brewing conflict, and you've got one guy with an attorney trying to do everything right, and then you've got another guy who is completely shady. And so it's like two worlds about to collide.
So Chris and Ed met on June 4th, allegedly to finalize the agreement.
Part of the deal was that Chris would get access to the accounts, and what he expected to see there is millions of dollars just sitting there. That's all the profit that their business had been making over the past year.
The only thing we were waiting for that day is that Chris had to be given access to the bank account so he could see that the money was still there. This is an email from Chris to me dated June 4, 2010 at 12:34 p.m.
I'm meeting with Ed now to go over statements. He fixed the login. Everything looks normal.
After that, a curious thing happens, which is that Smith's attorney gets an email from Chris Smith with a buyout agreement.
So this is a shift. Instead of providing guarantees that Chris would have access to all the bank accounts, now Chris emails his lawyer telling him that he's selling his share of the company.
This is an email from Chris Smith at 6:01 p.m. It says, Ernesto,
I agreed in principle with Ed to buy me out. $700K of the reserve will be paid in 3 installments. When Ed sends details, I will forward and we can discuss. Chris.
And then I got this one-page resolution that says both Smith and Shin agreed to execute the settlement in exchange for a good faith payment. My first reaction was, well, why is he doing this? This isn't what we had been negotiating for the past 2 weeks.
When Ernesto Aldebar received that 601 email from Chris, it was a complete game changer. All of a sudden, it's a complete 180 from everything they've been talking about.
The following Monday on June 7th, 2010, I received an email from Chris that says the documents are still being prepared, but I'm going on vacation for a few weeks to South America, and that let me know if you need anything.
Chris has finalized his settlement with Ed, and he's taken off, unbeknownst to Paul and his family, who've been up in Oregon for the last 2 weeks, so they're completely out of the loop.
Paul and Leah had flown up here to go to my nephew's wedding.
So tell me about this trip. You flew up here to Oregon as a family, and Chris dropped you off at the airport.
He was, sad that we were leaving. And I gave him a hug, flew up to Oregon. We were there for a couple weeks. We communicated via text that, he'd be there to pick me up at the Long Beach airport. Just never showed up.
Show me the truth. This is a crime to remember. What's broken apart won't come back together. This is a crime to...
Paul goes on vacation with his family. Chris takes him to the airport. And they're coming back from vacation. Chris isn't there to pick him up. Well, that's kind of odd.
I'm calling, texting, I can't get through to him, and eventually I get a hold of Ed, and Ed said, oh yeah, he doesn't have his phone. We came to a settlement. I bought him out of the company, and he took off with some Playboy playmate to the Galapagos Islands.
You think given how close Chris and Paul were, the fact that Paul worked in the same company, that Paul would have been the first person to know that Chris had just sold his share of the business to Ed Shin. But Chris could sometimes just take off and disappear without notice.
It hurt. We were so close to just up and leave and not talk to me about it first. Didn't sit well, but Chris expressed to me that it was such a tremendous amount of stress, and he's been put under from Ed in this situation. So when I heard that there was a settlement, I was like, I was in a way happy for him.
Did you worry what it meant for you?
A little bit. That I was there, without him now. I was a little bit stressed out about it, but I just figured, hey, I have a family here I need to support. I need to be strong, so just carried on as usual.
Not long after he gets back to work, after this massive upheaval in the company, Paul finds there's a new employee, and he's sitting in Chris's office.
Kenny Kraft just showed up all of a sudden in June.
I just moved back from Hawaii, and I was looking for work at the time, and ended up meeting Ed at a party. Hit it off pretty well. Probably started working there a couple weeks later.
At first I was like, okay, why is this guy here? What is his role? Why do we need him here? And I was told that he was there just to run errands for Ed.
You came on to try to do sales, and then he tells you, well,
he said, I'd rather have you as an assistant and stay close to me, and Ed decided to bring me on as an assistant chauffeur. Sit in the office next door to his and just basically play on the computer until he needed something from me.
I feel like this guy hired you, and for most of the time you're just sitting there.
Driving to and from, like lunches, driving home, get the kids.
Did you know about Chris at the time?
I had a vague understanding of what had happened. After speaking with Paul, he said it seems perfectly normal that his brother uprooted and took everything with him and went on some crazy adventure surfing.
It's now 2 months after Chris supposedly sold his share of the 800 exchange, and by now, he's been to the Galapagos, around the tip of South America. At some point, he's ditched Tiffany Taylor, and it seems like he's got no intention of ever coming home.
Tuesday, August 31st, 2010. I'm still backpacking through South America and would like to spend more time down here.
There are these emails. It sounds like The Amazing Race or something.
It was more very sporadic, and usually I wrote a lot more emails because I'm missing him. I'm wondering, where are you? I was starting to feel like, I don't know, this is all really fishy here.
I just said in my question, I said, "Gee, Chris, what lake do we live on? And what type of boat do we have?" Just trying to confirm what I knew. And it took a while to get the emails back, and he confirmed one. I said, "Yeah, we live on Kelly Lake."
Considering that one of those answers is a password to an account, what city were you born in? Then I'll tell you about Kelly Lake.
It just kind of solidified for me that he was Chris.
The answers give Debbie and Steve Smith some peace of mind. They're reassured, maybe not convinced, but they are feeling better that things are okay and that Chris is having a good time. But then several months go by.
Wednesday, October 20th, 2010. Hey Mom, I'm in Mumbai, India. I'm headed to Cyprus in Africa after this. I miss you too, but I have so much to see and do.
What began as a 1-month trip has now turned into this epic 5-month journey.
No credit cards or bank accounts, bro. I'm off the grid forever. I actually was able to use some gold as currency in India. I'm telling you, they use it all the time there. I was able to pay for my boat ride to Cyprus for a half-ounce Kruger.
What an incredible round-the-world trip it sounds like.
It sounded incredible that he was a surfer. He'd be in places like, Hawaii or Tahiti and Costa Rica.
At this point, Chris seems to be going to places that are out of character for him, not places on the globe that would be part of his itinerary. In the meantime, Paul is still working at 800 Exchange. He's got a family to feed, and part of the job includes business trips to Las Vegas.
Ed was gambling most of the time while we were at the convention, meeting with clients representing 800 Exchange as a company. And there was a big dinner that Ed had planned out for the company employees, and Ed invited women to attend the dinner. I think some of them were Playboy playmates. While we were there talking business, I happened to see the same girl that I got an image of in an email of the girl that Chris had left with.
This is Tiffany Taylor.
Tiffany Taylor, yeah.
Tiffany Taylor was one of the Atmosphere models hired by Ed Shin. Paul sees Tiffany and his eyes pop out of his skull.
I was very excited to see her because I hadn't talked to anybody that had been with my brother. And so I sat right next to her.
And he says, Tiffany, I thought you were sailing around the world with my brother.
You went to the Galapagos.
How was it?
You left with my brother, right?
Where is he now?
How's Chris?
What's going on?
And she just stared at me like I was crazy.
You've got these two men, they come together, they form this intense friendship, and one of them turns out to be a psychopath, but the other one doesn't find out until it's too late.
Chris Smith is realizing day by day that Ed Shin, his partner, is a crook.
So it seems like Chris Smith just takes off and starts sailing the world, trying to get things right in his head. But his emails to his family start to get weird. Things are just not adding up.
The family is losing their minds because they haven't seen Chris.
There's not a gray area between he's either surfing in South Africa or he's been killed. I think it's kind of one or the other.
Ed, I need you to be honest with me. Okay. I need you to tell me the truth about what happened.
Show me the truth. Show me the truth.
If you made a mistake, now's the time. Own it.
I'm sorry, I just need a second.
He's been leaving wreckage everywhere he's gone. At some point, there must have been a body to remove.
Only a true psychopath could do this.
You're living a double life. You know something that you're not telling.
Picture this scene. There's a business meeting in Las Vegas. Ed is there, Paul Smith is there, and Tiffany Taylor is at this event.
It's Tiffany Taylor, This November 1998, Playboy playmate Tiffany, who was supposedly on this sailing trip with Chris. You were sure that you recognized her?
Yes, it's the same exact girl as the picture that I got. And she just looked at me with a blank stare like I was nuts.
Tiffany said, I don't know your brother. I didn't go on any kind of a trip with him. What are you talking about? This is crazy talk.
Then Ed just looks up at me and just goes like this and just shakes his head. After the dinner was over, said, that was the girl that I got a picture of that Chris left with. And he reassured me that that was not the same Tiffany Taylor. It was a different Tiffany Taylor.
Well, think about it. Another Tiffany Taylor? It seems impossible, but also think about Las Vegas. There's no shortage of gorgeous women, probably named Tiffany, and on top of that, Ed is so convincing. The other worrisome thing for Paul is that things are taking a rather dark turn when it comes to 800 exchange.
There's so much money come in from the clients, and our largest buying partner was not receiving any payments for media. Where was the money going? It was going into Ed's pockets.
It was this feeling of something's wrong, we have to get out.
With Chris gone, Ed's spending a ton of money. He's isolating himself in his office. Ed kind of seems rudderless.
I immediately got an attorney, explained to him what was going on, and he said, put in your resignation via letter. So I did, and just depart quietly.
And so within, I think, 3 days, we packed up the house and we left.
I didn't want to be a part of Ed's world anymore. I knew it was going to get worse.
Hey, Dad. I just finally got to Johannesburg and tried calling Paul internationally. Found a conflict diamond for Paul. Gonna give it to him for his birthday I missed. LOL. CS.
I was like, what are you thinking? Like, you don't need to risk your life to get me a diamond for my birthday.
So remember, Chris has been on this 5-month whirlwind dream trip. In Oregon, his family has been on an emotional roller coaster.
Now, it's during the holidays that the family gets together, and now they're getting really worried. And it's at this point that Paul tells them about this weird incident at the 800 exchange at just about the time that Chris disappeared.
June 4 was a Friday, and that's the day that Ed and Chris reached this settlement. The following Monday, employees of 800 Exchange get a message from Ed saying, hey, don't come in for the whole week. We got to get the office cleaned.
I went into the office when I wasn't supposed to that week. I needed to grab some stuff, and it smelled really bad, like a rotten stench. There's fans on. It was very damp, like all the carpets were wet. The walls had been painted, and I looked down and I saw a big stain outside of Chris's office on the floor.
And Ed tells everybody Chris was super drunk. He vomited and urinated in his office, and that's the source of the smell.
He didn't drink at the office. I mean, to puke and pee, urinate at the office, I mean, it's totally not normal. You know, he would never do something like that.
I was like, okay, something's really foul here.
That sounded really suspicious to me because it's not Chris. Mm-hmm. You're going to go make $1 million deal and you're going to get drunk going to it. It made no sense to me at all. So I thought, what the hell?
Chris's father, Steve, was once a cop, but really, once a cop, always a cop. So he has those instincts that tell him something does not smell right. And he realizes it's very possible that Ed Chin may have something to do with the disappearance of his son. Steve sends an email to Chris, but he's thinking in the back of his mind that Ed is really seeing this email. And his hope is to bring him out of the shadow, possibly respond to him so he can get information about his son.
I said to him that, Jen, if you hurt any one of my sons, I'm going to up, and this is the start of your nightmare. But then I got a reaction to it.
To Steve Smith, Friday, December 17th, 2010. Dad, I'm fine. Stop tripping. I just needed to get some out of my head.
Did that sound like Chris Daddy tripping? Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, okay. But I still have feelings that something was wrong.
December 26, 2010. To Paul Smith. Just realized it's Christmas. Is it snowing in Bend? It's summer down here with it being so warm. I'm headed back up through the Congo. I'll be offline for a couple weeks. I found a dealer in Rwanda that will pay 30% markup on Krugs because the mint ones are impossible to find.
And so it's just after Christmas that Chris's emails abruptly stop. It's radio silence.
His mom starts to think he fell in with some criminals when they found out he had this gold, and he's been murdered somewhere abroad.
I was searching through all the deaths that were happening in Africa and Rwanda and everywhere. And, everything was a Caucasian male, 30 years or so, just searching everywhere.
During the month of December, the family did get a sliver of hope when Chris promises Paul that he'll meet him in Costa Rica in February.
Here's an email I received from Chris. I'll make my way north to Egypt, cross over to Spain, and then head to Costa Rica. Meet me there in February so we can surf and talk about everything. Chris. In February, Paul and Chris are supposed to go to Costa Rica together. And eventually Paul calls the hotel that they're actually supposed to go to, and he learns from the hotel that there's no reservation in the name of his brother, that his brother has made no plans to meet up with them. And that really was probably the nail in the coffin, and the family needed to get some help.
Steve Smith went to the State Department, and he very soon hears, this is early in 2011, passport control has no record of your son even leaving this country. As far as we're concerned, he never left.
For the family, this is a stunning revelation. Given all the emails that they've received, how could this possibly be true?
Steve thinks this doesn't make sense because he would need the passport. So now he's got to ask people, well, how would he leave?
And one of the things he did was to go to Ed and ask him what he knew.
I was worried for his safety, though, because I really felt like this guy could probably be really dangerous.
When you see that kind of passion and that love for a family member, it's very real. And you can only imagine that long drive from Oregon.
I'd actually brought a gun with me. The main thing I was wanting to do is find my son. Either he knows what happened to Chris or he knows he's responsible for it.
Go by, and the family is losing their minds because they haven't seen Chris. They've gotten these emails, but they have no idea what's actually happened to him. So they decide to begin their own investigation. I think it was in the spring of 2011. We got to the point where we needed some answers.
I look at Steve as being the rock of that family. He drove all the way down here from Oregon to talk to Ed Shin himself.
I'd actually brought a gun with me. So I left in the car, but I did take a digital recorder to record a conversation. Hi, how you doing? Appreciate this. Yeah, no problem. We're just getting real nervous. We haven't heard from him in 3 months. We're just freaking out that he got killed somewhere, mugged or beat up. He went on for about an hour's conversation about all kinds of stuff.
I have a feeling I can help you find him if you really want, because the weekend before we went to Vegas together, I know he got a fake passport. There was a guy in Vegas who referred Chris to this other guy in LA. He was the one who got him the passport.
Do you believe anything that he's saying to you?
No. I think there's something really wrong. He's lying to me. Either he knows what happened to Chris or he knows he's responsible for it.
The significance of the fake passport story from Ed is either it explains why the State Department has no record of Chris ever leaving the country, or it means that Ed Shin is lying through his teeth, and that is a whole other problem.
After a couple months of doing his own investigation, Steve Smith reported him missing officially to Laguna Beach PD.
They launched their investigation, and in June 2011, a full year after Chris goes missing, Ed comes in for questioning at the Laguna Beach PD.
And he begins describing the story about Chris being drunk and being a flaky guy.
Pissed everywhere. He had broken a couple bottles of wine. It was a mess. And it smelled, so I had to send our employees home because they were complaining about the smell, and we had to get it all cleaned. When is the last time you saw Chris? The first Monday of June, I think. I think it was the 3rd or 4th. We went to Las Vegas that weekend. Okay. And I dropped him off at home. And that was the last time I saw him. I don't know where he is. I mean, honestly, I think he's the other side of the world. And I think he doesn't
3 weeks later, Detective Julia Bowman is on the case.
I looked at all of that circumstantial evidence, the timeline of when things happened, listened to Ed Shin's explanation of what had happened in the office, and none of it seemed plausible.
Detective Bowman isn't the only person investigating this case. Enter a gentleman by the name of Joe DeLue. So Joe DeLue is a private investigator, and it's by complete coincidence that he gets involved.
Joe DeLue moved into an office just a couple doors down from the abandoned 800 Exchange.
It's 2011 of April. We were in there for probably just a couple of months, and we were contacted by the property manager. He knew we were a private investigation firm, and he said that one of their tenants, Ed Shin, had skipped out on their lease. The amount that was owed was around $40,000, I believe. He advised us at one point that a local law enforcement agency was trying to get a hold of Ed Shin as well, because someone filed a missing persons report on his business partner, Chris Smith. So that kind of perked us up a little bit too. So I do remember going, would you mind me taking a look at this for you and help find your son?
So we started conversing between us. In a short period of time, we actually became friends.
He eventually sent me the emails and everything that he had, all the things that he did trying to look for his son, and the people that he spoke with. And we just started collecting that and taking a look at it.
The family even hires a computer expert to analyze the data in Chris's emails, trying to figure out where they originated.
He takes a look at them and he says, no, I believe these both came from Wednesday in the United States.
It was a very delicate situation. How do you tell somebody that I think something serious happened to your son that's not just a missing person?
It turns out that the property manager gives Joe DeLue the most incredibly important piece of information. Let's rewind to June of 2010.
Ed calls up the property manager and says, how do you get blood on a carpet?
They then actually send over a porter to look at the blood on the carpet?
The porter goes in there and sees blood. And Ed explains to the porter, oh, I cut my hand when I was cutting an apple.
Joe starts doing some research. As an investigator, he thinks like, hey, maybe we should go look in the office.
We learned that the office was still vacant, and we wanted to go take a look.
So the property manager allows you in.
Correct. We're walking around with our flashlight, and that's when we discover some blood, or what we think is blood.
It was very surprising that anything could be found at the office. It had been a year since he had left that office. We heard from Ed Shin himself that he had cleaned the office twice.
So I contacted Don Vogt in the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and he said he thought maybe there was a murder had occurred in there. I kind of explained to Joe that kind of a stretch at this point.
So we went to the office park with the Orange County Crime Lab. They closed the door and they had sprayed luminol all over the inside of Chris's office, which would present any type of blood that was in the office, and it almost makes it like a fluorescent green color. And it lights up like the Christmas tree.
So we know this isn't just someone cut their finger. There's a crime scene here.
This is a crime to remember. For better, for worse, you won't forget, forget.
We started coming into Chris's office. And one of the things we first picked up on was the blood on the door jamb. We came into the office and I pointed out this possible blood drops to the crime lab.
And they sprayed luminol. They found there were blood stains, and they were everywhere. They were on the door frame, they were on the light switch, they were on the floor, they were on the wall, they were on the ceiling.
Just helter-skelter.
We had obtained a DNA sample of Chris Smith's parents. Their DNA matched the blood DNA that was found at the scene. That's when we realized all this blood in the crime scene does belong to Chris Smith. We knew at this point that we were going to arrest Ed Shin for the murder of Chris Smith. On August 28th, we found out that Ed Shin had boarded a plane at LAX and he was headed to Canada.
So I gave the green light, rip him off the plane, and we're going to hook him at this point.
We technically arrested him for violating his probation because Ed Shin had been arrested in Riverside County for embezzling. He's not allowed to leave the country. So we arrested him and brought him back.
Of course, the sheriffs had a wealth of information that he didn't know that they knew.
We got him talking. We started talking about Chris Smith.
He went missing in June and they didn't talk to you until...
No. He left the country in June. I think he went missing in like December.
Orange County homicide investigators Don Vogt and Ray Wirt spend hours questioning Ed Shin. And Ed sticks to that same story that Chris sold his shares of the 800 exchange and just vanished out into the Pacific somewhere.
We ultimately decided we're going to confront him with the evidence that we have.
There's blood on the walls, there's blood on the doorway, okay? It's a scientific fact. I'm not making it up. And we know it's Chris's blood.
Okay.
And we gave him an opportunity to tell us his story. And Ed's response to us was, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't kill Chris.
What I want to say is I want an attorney.
Ed asked for a lawyer, and so the interrogation is immediately ended. And then half an hour later,
You wanted to talk again?
Investigators Vogt and Wirt are told he actually wants to come back in and set the record straight.
Ed went on to tell us, I didn't murder Chris Smith, but him and Chris have been involved in this knockdown, drag-out fight.
Somehow he was able to grab me and he kind of picked me up and had the amendment of like throw me across his desk. I jumped up and he jumped up on the desk and we kind of like almost like two rams collided on his desk, and it's probably where the blood got on the ceiling. I was able to position myself to where I was charging him into his office again, and literally that's when I think his head hit the desk, and he was unconscious. I mean, there's blood all over his office, pool of blood coming from his head.
It's during this interrogation that all of these revelations just start spilling out. Ed now says, this wasn't murder, this was self-defense. We had a fight, and Chris just died. And all of those emails to the family, all of them were Ed's imagination. Even those cruel emails breaking up with his girlfriend, Erica, that was all Ed Shin's doing.
Chris had not been sailing the world with an exotic Playboy playmate. Chris had not been visiting Rwanda and Chile and Ecuador. These emails had all been written by Edward Shin using Chris's email accounts. It was all a charade.
It's utterly ruthless. It is fundamentally awful what he's doing here. Only a true psychopath would do this.
And they charged him with first-degree murder.
Good morning, America. Breaking news.
A bizarre and extremely cruel murder and cover-up. Police say a California man killed his business partner, then covered his tracks by creating a virtual life online.
Once they confirmed that Chris Smith is actually dead, one of the most brutal, difficult things in law enforcement is making that call to the family, and they had to do that.
It was awful. It's like even gutted. It's just like a horrible nightmare, and we're living this out. It's just like horrible.
We drove over to Paul's house, and when we got there, he was down the driveway crying.
It was a tough day. Just fell to my knees. It's tough. The images that come into your mind at that point of someone you love being murdered brought in a lot of emotions. Just heartbreak.
It's hard to see how much it hurt Paul because they were like twins.
So there's nothing to help the family that you can give us right now to indicate where Chris's body might be for closure for the family.
I understand. No, I don't have anything.
Shin claims he gets in contact with a Russian man whom he pays $10,000 to $15,000 to dispose of the body. The next morning, Chris's body is gone, and Ed claims he has no idea where it is.
And so Monday came around, I got back to the office, he's gone.
The reason the office smelled so bad, despite all of Ed Shin's stories about Chris throwing up, the real reason it stank is because underneath those carpets is decaying human tissue in the form of Chris's blood.
He won't say where the body is because he would then have to show the cause of death, which would absolutely prove that it wasn't mutual combat.
Detective Bowman analyzes all of Ed Shin's cell phone records and these cell phone tower pings, and she finds that on 2 occasions, June 7th and June 9th, Ed drives 170 miles into the desert near this town called Boulevard, California, which is this desolate desert area right up against the Mexican border.
There's no reason for Ed Shin to have driven in the middle of the night and sat there for 2 hours unless he's dumping the body of Chris Smith.
After we got those cell phone pings, they had helicopters and ATVs and dogs, and they had 80 people looking for him. And, the problem is that so much time had gone by.
There's no body. No body.
There's no murder weapon.
No murder weapon. It's very challenging to try somebody for murder without the body, right? Because the body will tell you everything.
You see the Smith family, right? Last chance, Mr. Shin. Show us where the body is.
Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Orange is now in session. I will bring out previous judge presiding. Please be seated.
This trial took a long time to get underway.
Yeah. You're just in this suspended reality of not having closure and answers. You just get stuck. I had a lot of rage. It just felt like a storm.
So, if you had to boil this case down into the simplest terms, how would you characterize it?
Ruthless, diabolical greed to the extreme. I mean, that's really what this boils down to.
This is now 7 years later that he's going to trial. So for the Smith family, this has just been painful waiting. And now finally, in 2018, Ed Shin is finally standing trial. He's charged with first-degree murder with special circumstances. Special circumstance being it was for financial gain. If convicted under California law, you get a mandatory sentence of life without parole.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is going to show that in trying to legally protect his own financial interests, Chris Smith became an obstacle for Ed Shin. Ed Shin was in a corner. Chris Smith had him in a corner. The way he could solve his problems, financially, business-wise, everything else, is murder Chris Smith, make him disappear, and take all of his money. The evidence is going to show, ladies and gentlemen, that Chris Smith's office on June 4th in the evening hours, it was helter-skelter in there. There's blood on the ceiling, there's blood on the carpet, there's blood on the walls, there's blood on the furniture. The evidence is going to show that man there beat or stabbed Chris Smith brutally to death in that office.
Matt Murphy's going to argue this was a premeditated murder. The key piece of evidence is the timing of one email sent by Ed Shin, pretending to be Chris Smith, to Chris's attorney on the night of the alleged murder.
At 6:01 that night, did you receive an email concerning what appeared to be a change in heart or a change in direction from Mr. Smith concerning the future of these companies?
Yes.
So that's our window where we know the murder had to take place. That email, it's perfectly written. It's not done in a panic. It makes sense. It has the right tone. And it's attached to an exhibit with a fake signature on it. So there's virtually no way Ed Shin showed up in that office without that email and that attachment ready to roll. And that means he's already decided he's going to kill him.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do.
According to Ed Shin, Chris Smith was responsible for everything.
Lunged at me again, and I think at that point I felt I had to fight back. I don't know if I threw him or if I shoved him, but somehow I pushed him into this area, and that's when he fell and he hit the desk really hard.
It's always risky for a defendant to take the witness stand because the entire case then comes down to, do the jurors believe Ed Shin? every single word, every facial expression, every motion becomes critical.
So, how is it, Mr. Shin, you didn't have a bruise or you didn't bleed somewhere? Can you explain that for us?
I cannot.
Okay, there you are. He's on the floor of the office. He's just sustained a significant physical injury, and you can dial 911, and they can come save him. So if you didn't want him to die, why didn't you dial 911, Mr. Shin?
Because I was in shock.
You didn't dial 911 because you knew that if he died, you got his money. Isn't that true?
No.
This is murder that's repeated itself throughout history. You got one guy who wants something from another guy, and the way to get it, if you won't agree, is kill him and take it.
Then there was this moment during cross-examination in which Ed Shin looked like he was about to cry. He was kind of shedding a tear.
Are you tearing up a little bit right now?
I'm okay, sir.
Was he feeling sorry for himself? Whatever it was, Matt Murphy saw that and went in for the kill.
Were you tearing up when you wrote that email to Debbie Smith saying that her son was committing suicide or suggesting that he was going to do that? Were you tearing up when you did that?
Yes.
Okay. You were actually at the computer tearing up as you were going to break a mother's heart by essentially blaming her for the death of her son. That was making you feel sad?
It was one of the many emotions I felt, yes.
That was 100% con. That was manipulator par excellence trying to work my jury. He's trying to make the jury feel sorry for him after all the destruction that he's caused. There's no getting emotional when you're a ruthless killer like that.
In front of the jury, Ed Shin does not budge from his claim that this was all self-defense. As for the body, well, Ed Shin has an answer for that as well. He claims he hired a Russian to dispose of the body.
I've always believed he drove him out to the desert and he dumped him. You're familiar with the phrase, the truth will set you free?
Yes.
So here we've got a skull somewhere out there in the world right now that if your story is true, it's going to match what you say. There's going to be a single impact wound back of the skull that looks like a corner of a desk, right?
Yes.
Ed Shin says Chris fell down in the middle of this fight and hit his head. And he died from that. That means he's going to have a skull fracture that indicates a single blunt force trauma, and he's going to be able to prove what he said. So why doesn't Ed Shin set himself free by telling us where the body is? Because it's complete nonsense. It's not true. That skull has multiple blunt force trauma, and that's why Ed didn't give it up.
The jury gets the case on December 7th, 2018, and it takes them less than an hour to reach a verdict.
If you would please read the verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Edward Young-hoon Shin, guilty of the crime of felony, to wit, violation of Section 1.
My feeling when the verdict was read is total relief that he's going to be somewhere where he can't hurt anybody else again.
The verdict came down the same day that we interviewed Joe Gray, and so we were there with him as he broke the news to his wife, Patty.
They got him for first-degree murder. That's sentencing should be life in prison.
Oh my God. No.
He won't be hurting anyone else, babe.
Thank God.
We're actually inside the Theo Lacey facility, and we're about to interview Ed Shin 16 hours after sentencing. Are you afraid that this mysterious Russian that you've spoken about is going to come after you? Or are you just keeping this piece of information as a bargaining chip? Years after he murdered Chris Smith, and about 8 months after a jury took less than an hour to find him guilty of first-degree murder with special circumstances, Ed Shin is back in court with the same judge about to learn his fate.
After we get the verdict, you have a sentencing, and each family has an opportunity to either address the court or to have an advocate address the court. Shin's mom, Mrs. Shin, her statement was very emotional, and she tried to take all the blame.
Your Honor, my name is Jennifer Shin, mother of Edward Shin. Please
how sorry I am to both the Smith family and to this court. This is my fault. After college, Edward wants to be a pastor, so he could lead children's ministry. I know he wouldn't be here today if I didn't ask him to change his decision. Please, mercy my son. Thank you, Honor.
You know, and I felt sorry for his mom, who's in court every day, but she knows what his background is.
Ed not only ruined our family, but he ruined his own family and his mom and dad's family.
Just a lot of loss.
Even in a wrongful conviction, God asks this court to show me no mercy. We must bear the responsibility of doing so many awful things, and if it means a life of physical suffering, so be it. God put me on this earth to serve Him, and gave me every opportunity and talent to tend to His sheep. Instead, I chose the path of the wolf.
The court will sentence the defendant then to life without possibility of parole.
He's been leaving wreckage everywhere he's gone.
It's like a boat going through the water, and instead of a wake of water, it's a wake of destroyed or ruined lives everywhere he goes.
We're actually inside the field AC facility, and we're about to interview Ed Shin 16 hours after the sentencing. The primary question everybody wants to know, where is Chris's body?
How are you doing?
A small part of me is relieved because there's some closure now.
In court yesterday, you described going down the path of the wolf. When did you begin to choose the path of the wolf?
Well, my first job out of college was as a stockbroker. So I'm being conditioned, especially as a young professional, that it's all about the money. Gordon Gekko from Wall Street.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
But there is a difference between greed and crime.
Absolutely.
And you cross that line between greed and theft.
Because you're making so much money, and then the money's fast, quick. That's addicting.
It seemed that you were living a double life. You were this father at home in California, but in Vegas, you were gambling a lot of money, seeing hookers, doing other things. Safe to say that that's true?
Yeah.
Basically, the money you were supposed to use to pay back Joe Gray, you were sending to the casino.
Yes, I did that on a few occasions.
June 4th, 2010, Chris Smith wants access to the books. Why did you kill him?
We got in a fight.
There are fights, and then there's killing someone.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to kill him.
Why'd you finish him off?
Finish him off?
You could have called 911.
I was in total panic. What are you supposed to do at that point?
You could have said, hey, the guy rushed me, he attacked me. I had no choice but to defend myself. He fell.
I was already in a criminal case. Had that not been active, I probably would have called 911. But no one's ever gonna believe me. These cops aren't gonna believe me.
So you have this dead body on the floor. What do you do with it?
Me, personally, I didn't do anything.
And so who was the person?
I can't talk about that right now.
Ed, you're facing the rest of your life in prison.
I am.
You are going to spend the rest of your life in prison, it seems, if there's no appeal.
And I'm here against, the advice of my attorneys, so...
And now you're holding the location of his body.
I'm not holding
over on his
I
pants.
don't know it.
But you know the person who can get it.
Show me the truth. This is a crime to remember. It's broken apart.
You've admitted to the worst of this, right? You've admitted to stealing. You've admitted to killing Chris Smith.
Right.
You've admitted to writing the emails.
Right.
You hacked into his life. You broke up with his girlfriend, and you told his parents that he was traveling across the world, and then that he was suicidal.
Yeah, that was kind of like, perhaps, that was the exit strategy, but I couldn't go through with it,
Because you had to find a way to kill off Chris, at least the email version of him.
That was a potential exit strategy, yes. but I couldn't go through with it. You know, there was still that little last shred of, I guess, morality or whatever you want that prevented me from doing it.
I mean, in some ways, it seems like you killed him twice.
In some ways, yeah.
In the sentencing yesterday, you said, I hope that someday I'll be given the opportunity to help locate Chris's body. That gives the indication that you know something that you're not telling. That you know where it is.
No.
Now you're holding the location of his body.
I'm not holding it because I don't know it.
But you know the person who can get it.
But that's just not, there's no way I can get to that at this point. And there's no way that I'm gonna do it. I'm sorry, I wish I could tell you more, but it's something bigger that I just can't talk about.
Maybe it's a bargaining chip for the future, although one would think you would have used it already.
No, it's not. You have to think about it. If someone's willing to give up his life to protect a secret, there's a reason, right?
Okay. He knows exactly what happened to Chris because he killed him, and he knows exactly where the body is because he took the body out there and buried him. So Ed Shin is a liar. Of course he's not going to cough up where the body is. But we'll find it eventually. We'll find it eventually.
Tell me about that paddle out.
That was for all of his friends, and they needed to remember him.
A paddle out, it's a part of surfing culture. After Chris died, about 25 of his good friends and Paul did what's called a paddle out. It's like a funeral service almost. It's a memorial that surfers have for other surfers.
They brought their boards and they made the wreath. The sea was flat except for the dolphins and birds out there, and they went out and did the paddle out. It was beautiful.
Chris, how you doing?
At his memorial service, I found a song by Jars of Clay that we played, and it talks about it doesn't matter where my body lays. And so it's just such a prophetic song, to what's turned out. So we don't have anything, no body, but we know where he is. And we'll see him again. We can feel his spirit still. We're confident that we're going to see him again someday. And we have that hope. So we cling to that hope.
It's an odd feeling, because if you've had a child and the child has grown inside of you, it feels like part of you is somewhere out in the desert, and it feels strange. There's a part of you, that is us, that is out lying in the desert.
A heartbreaking story for the Smith family, one that our team has been following for nearly 2 years now.
And of course, we'll remain committed to this story and new reporting in a new podcast in the coming weeks. We'll keep you posted.
That's our program for this evening. I'm Amy Robach.
And I'm David Muir from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News. Thanks for watching. Good night. David Muir.
And I'm Amy Robach.
And this is 2020.
She's the sanest, crazy person you've ever met. The public was obsessed because this was a case that was drenched in sex, and lies, and religion, and sex.
That is so debasing. I like it.
Travis was addicted to Jody.
He's had a little taste, but he wants even more.
She was his kryptonite.
She was his dirty little secret.
He made me feel like a very beautiful person on the inside.
She became very possessive of him. Very possessive. I said, Travis, I'm afraid we're going to find you chopped up in her freezer.
It was a fatal attraction. Definitely a fatal attraction here.
What's going on? A friend of ours was dead in his bedroom.
The amount of blood all over. All over. It was everywhere.
He was slaughtered. There's no other way to describe it.
She arrived at the house. She's having sex with them. They're taking the pictures.
The camera accidentally fell and took a couple shots.
photos of Travis in the shower.
Even as the homicide occurred, the camera is continuing to click photographs. It's almost like having somebody videotape your murder.
The final picture of him alive.
Jody is taken into the interrogation room, and what she does there stuns the world.
Think it's wrong, and I don't want to be right.
I'm an artist, I'm a photographer. It started off that way when I was younger. I got a little 110 camera, which is kind of that old, cheap film. I took pictures of everything from my foot to a tree or a leaf or my cat. Over the years, it developed into something that I became really passionate about.
Jodi Arias had a very normal upbringing. She grew up in the middle of California.
I have a large family. We're all pretty close.
In high school yearbook photos, Jodi appears to be a happy, innocent, carefree kid.
Her family moved around a little bit in California. She spent some time in her childhood in Salinas, and then they moved up near the Oregon border to Wairika.
Jodi Arias' parents owned a Mexican food restaurant where Jodi worked as a waitress when she was a teenager.
Moving to a new town while she was a teenager was really tough on Jodi, and she started documenting this in a journal.
I often ask myself why I'm here. I'm completely aware that I dwell in the past all too often to a time of pure fun and true friendships. I don't belong here. I shouldn't be here on Wairika.
Wairika is a small California town. The main street has little shops, a lot of family-owned businesses. There's a lot of beautiful mountain ranges.
I've always been drawn to nature and things like that. I think that inspires a lot of my art and a lot of my photography as well.
Jodi never makes a big name for herself as a photographer. She never makes a lot of money, but she shoots weddings.
She eventually just picked up and grabbed everything she owned and moved to a resort town in California.
Jodi was looking to make more money and to be more successful in life. So she decides to get involved in a network marketing company called Prepaid Legal Services.
She thought, wow, this looks like interesting work, selling legal services to people where they would pay, a fee, and they would have these lawyers on call for them. And she decided to go to a conference that Prepaid Legal had.
The company was having a convention in Vegas, and it was a big deal. And so everybody was beating the drum. You got to go to Vegas, got to go to the convention.
You can see in videos posted on YouTube the energy that was created in these conventions.
Please help me welcome Mr. Travis Alexander.
Travis Alexander was a successful 29-year-old motivational speaker and salesman for Prepaid Legal. He had risen quickly up the ranks.
He had tons of friends and tons of people that always wanted to be around him just because he was a great guy.
His main goal in life was just to make people laugh and to make them feel better about themselves. In this YouTube video, Travis talks about being single.
When I first started, you can imagine the first thing I would hear a lot of was, by the way, you're single. And I'd be like, that's right, I am. That's been going on for 6 years.
Travis was the T-Dog. He was a huge flirt.
Travis was always in the market. Travis was looking for his wife.
I knew that Travis was single, and I said, hey, there's this really good-looking gal on my team. You ought to meet her.
Jodi's at the MGM Grand. They're standing outside the Rainforest Cafe, and this handsome, well-dressed man comes up to her and says, hi, I'm Travis. And it's clear from the get-go they have a potent chemistry.
She's beautiful. She's friendly, has long blonde hair, cute figure. She was very sweet.
He said, hey, listen, do you have a nice dress? Because I'd like to take you to the formal executive dinner with me as my guest.
During the dinner, they just talked the whole time. She seemed to like him as much as he liked her.
He's riveted with everything she's saying. It was cute, I mean, I was like, okay, good for you, Travis. It was cute to watch. Jody was actually in a committed relationship, but you wouldn't know it.
Jody'd been with the same guy for about 4 years, but they were having problems. She was desperate to get married and have kids. He had already been married. He had a kid. He didn't want to do it again. So she was looking elsewhere.
After the banquet, Travis and her hung out until 4 o'clock in the morning, just talking and getting to know each other. And the next morning, he tells me that he's found his wife, and this is the girl that he wants to marry.
For her, this night was the magic, was the Cinderella moment. She met her prince, and that was Travis.
One thing he always told me is that, pretty girls are a dime a dozen, but it's what's on the inside that kind of makes people stand out. He made me feel like a very beautiful person on the inside.
After that first encounter, Travis is very much infatuated with Jody. He's had a little taste, but he wants even more.
We got to know each other through hours upon hours of phone conversations. We just discovered a lot of common interests and grew close.
Travis lives in Mesa, Arizona. Jody lives in California. So they're having a long distance relationship, and they begin meeting at Travis's friend's house. It's a convenient rendezvous point.
She was really excited about the relationship. She loved how funny he was, how much fun they would have together. Travis loved to take adventures and do different things. Jody documented their time together online by posting photos on her MySpace page.
So Jody and Travis, they shared a lot of interests together, key being traveling. They had a book called 1,000 Places to See Before You Die, just traveling around to these places in the book together.
We went to Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. We saw Sedona. We saw the Grand Canyon. It was a mutual goal to check things off that list. I'm always pointing the camera in every direction, and he was always a very enthusiastic and willing subject.
In emails that Travis sent to Chris and Sky, he actually talks about how deeply he cared about Jody.
I went from intrigued by her, to interested in her, to caring about her deeply, to realizing how lucky I would be to have her as a part of my life forever. She is amazing. It's not hard to see that whoever scores Jody, whether it be me or someone else, is going to win the wife lotto.
The biggest problem, however, when it came to any kind of romantic relationship was one of religion. Travis Alexander was Mormon, and Jody Arias was not.
He was a Stormin' Mormon.
He was deeply involved in the Mormon church, devout.
He was very open with how he wanted his life to be and how he wanted his marriage to be, and so, there would be no compromises.
Jody was the first person I ever heard of that he was dating that was not a Mormon.
She was very sensual and very sexual, and Travis was extremely attracted to that because he was not used to that with the women he had dated in the Mormon faith before.
If anyone is even remotely familiar with the Mormon beliefs, no sex before marriage.
She was his kryptonite.
Their relationship was white hot sex.
Travis Alexander started a blog called Travis Alexander Being Better blog, in which he was writing very honestly and candidly about his life and his struggles.
I used to imagine myself as some dangerously handsome tycoon in Time magazine, as one of the world's most eligible bachelors. Then I turned 30. As I tend to do, I did a little soul searching and realized that I was lonely.
Travis is getting older. Being a devout Mormon, typically when you're 30, 31, you're expected to have a family, have children, be settled down.
In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in these singles congregations that they've got set up across the world, when you turn 31, you're out. Like you have to go to a regular congregation, almost like you're getting moved from the main toy box to the broken toys, like the broken toys go over here.
Travis was feeling a bit of pressure to find, as one friend put it, a good Mormon girl, and to marry her. That wasn't Jody Arias.
Travis starts sending Mormon missionaries to her house. At night, he talks about the Book of Mormon. He quotes scripture to her.
He had a very significant influence on me as far as, my decision to join the church.
She was very spiritual, and so she was open to learning about Mormonism. And this was also a way for her to be more a part of Travis's life.
She chose to become baptized because she thought that's what Travis wanted.
Within a couple of months of them meeting, Jody is now converting to a new religion. This was unbelievably fast.
Travis actually baptized Jody himself, and there's a picture of the two of them before the ceremony.
He baptized me, and it was emotional, it was spiritual, it was powerful. It's a feeling that, like, everything just comes right into alignment, and nothing can go wrong.
It was very important for Travis to remain true to his faith because Mormonism saved his life.
Travis had a difficult childhood. He grew up in Southern California, very poor. Both of his parents were serious drug addicts.
My childhood, unfortunately, was very much like any child's that had drug-addicted parents.
It was a very tough life, living with our mother. We kind of fended for ourselves, and, top ramen was the main source of nutrition.
When his mother was doing drugs, she would sleep for days at a time, and he was scared to wake her up.
When you sleep for 4 days with a house full of kids, there isn't any food cooked. We would eat what was there, but before long, what was edible would be eaten or rot, and then what was rotten would be eaten too.
His home life got to the point where it was so incredibly abusive. He ran away and went over to his grandmother's house.
Our grandmother was a saint. I mean, she was the greatest woman. Put clothes on our back, food in our belly, a warm place to sleep. She got us all into church, pointing us in the right direction.
That kind of became like his saving grace. It gave him his identity and his importance.
He was always incredibly strong in the church, but after meeting Jody, some of the conversations were about the challenge of morality because this girl's in his life.
The law of chastity in the Mormon Church is clear. Premarital sex is forbidden.
Well, there is a video showing Travis and Jody very affectionate with each other. It's clear that they have a strong connection. There's a lot of tenderness and just warmth. What people may not have known was that despite both being Mormons, they were also having sex.
In Jody's journal, she actually writes a lot about the lengths to which the two of them go, indulging in these sexual fantasies.
His bedroom becomes our playground where our passions run wild and certain fantasies are taken to the extreme. The rules melt away.
Travis was addicted to Jody. This was a woman, a gorgeous woman, who was fulfilling all of his sexual desires.
He really was struggling and suffering in guilt, because he knew that he was outside of the tenets of the faith.
They're both sinning in the eyes of his church. Travis wanted to marry a virginal, pure Mormon girl. By having sex with him, Jody eliminated herself as ever being marriage potential for Travis.
But there were a lot of other problems. Travis and Jody have been dating for a couple of months when his friends started noticing there's something off with Jody. Something not quite right.
For example, one night we're all in the hot tub. There's 4 of us, this is a time to chat and hang out. Well, Jody is like climbing on Travis while we're trying to have this conversation.
She was all over him. I mean, like 8th graders whose parents are out of town, like straddling his lap and sucking on his neck, and Travis just kept pushing her off, and he's like, Jody, get off me, like, what are you doing? And I look at Chris, I'm like, does she not realize we're sitting here?
That was one of those nights where we're like, she's weird, this is weird.
This is around the time where she became very possessive of him. Very possessive.
She just had to sit right by him. She didn't appreciate when he was talking to another female. She didn't like the fact that if there was anyone that didn't know that they were together, she wanted to make that clear.
I've never experienced being around somebody that's that clingy to another person and just wouldn't leave them alone.
I started seeing things that were just disturbing.
Jody is infatuated with Travis, and she is not letting him go.
She had come undone.
I said, Travis, I'm afraid we're going to find you chopped up in her freezer.
I love him so greatly that my love is bigger than even I can grasp. It fills me and explodes through me.
So within months of meeting, Jody is attached to Travis beyond belief.
They were dating long distance, and Jody was going to a lot of work for this relationship. Jody desperately wanted not just to be Travis's girlfriend, she wanted to be Travis's fiancée and Travis's wife.
Travis's friends didn't embrace Jody the same way Travis did. They saw her a little differently.
As they get to know her better, they get more and more creeped out by her behavior.
From very, very early on, she was completely obsessed with him. I started seeing things that were just disturbing, you know, her following him to the bathroom and standing outside the door without him knowing, or eavesdropping on his conversations, freaking out if he was out of her sight.
She went through his cell phone on multiple occasions. She went through his emails. She went through his Facebook.
She went on his email and forwarded every email message to or from a woman to herself.
There was this one time where she said that she was getting these messages from some strange man who says that he watches her.
Travis came to me, he goes, let me read you this email, it's really scary. And it was like, Jody, you're so beautiful, you're so amazing, Travis doesn't deserve you. Travis lives in Mesa and you live in California and he's too far away, he can't protect you and I know where you live. And I'm laughing at this point, and Travis like, Sky, this is serious, she's very scared. And I said, Travis, she wrote the email. She wants you to ask her to move to Arizona. I said, this is fake, like she made this up. We finally decided, like Chris and I were like, okay, this is ridiculous, like there's something wrong with her.
And so we're like, hey, let's chat. So Sky, Travis, and myself were all sitting on my bed.
We were just telling him all the things that we were worried about with her. And I said, she's scary. There's something wrong with her.
We started to tell him how we think she's not only not good for him, but she's dangerous. He said, gosh, guys, she's so good. Like, you don't know she's so good.
She's so sweet. She doesn't have anybody else. Like, I really like her. And I said, Travis, I'm afraid we're going to find you chopped up in her freezer. And all of a sudden, I got this cold feeling over me, and I knew she was outside our door. And I mouthed to them and pointed to the door, and I said, she's out there.
And Travis was like, no way. And Sky was like, and Travis rips the door open, and she's there.
And the look on her face was just, it was evil.
There was a rage in her eyes. So Sky and I are very frightened at this point. She might burn down our house, with all of us in it.
And I said, I don't want her at our house anymore. And he said, I agree. She and I went into the study, and I said, I'm not comfortable with you in my house. I said, you're obsessed with him, Jody. I'm telling her, your behavior's out of control. There's something wrong with you, and no change in expression until she says to me, are you going to tell him not to date me? And I said, I already did. And she starts crying.
And that was the last time Jody Harris was in my home.
Travis and Jody continue seeing each other for another couple months until finally it's over. Travis had begun to see things in Jody that he just wasn't happy with, the obsession and everything else. He told her, I don't want to be together with you anymore. This isn't going anywhere.
Within weeks of them breaking up, Jody does the unthinkable to any guy who's trying to break up with a woman. She packs up her stuff and moves to Mesa, Arizona to be closer to him.
That's pretty weird, right? I don't ever want to see you again. And then she moves across the country and into your town.
He was saying things like, you have no reason to be in Mesa. We're not together. We're not going to be together. Why can't you leave me alone?
I just remember thinking, that's bananas. That's crazy.
With Jody now living 10 minutes away, this breakup isn't going to work.
With her so close, he couldn't stay away from her.
Travis told friends that Jody would show up unannounced at his house, that she would sneak in through the garage door because she knew the code, and at one point she even snuck in through the doggy door.
And sometimes Travis would be angry, and other times he would jump into bed right with her and they would have sex.
The drug dealer with the drug for the addict is there, and he just can't get enough, and he can't help himself.
It was very much a mutual thing. He would send me these little code text messages like Z's ... which meant I'm getting sleepy, coast is clear, company's left, day's work is done, come on over. Maybe I should have been more disciplined, but all it took was a text message, and I said, all right, I'll be right there, and I went.
Meanwhile, Travis is trying to meet other women through the church. He's really looking to settle down, to get married and have a family.
At this point, Travis has been dating a couple Mormon girls from the church, but he becomes most infatuated with a girl named Lisa.
Jody wanted to sabotage Travis's relationship with Lisa and scare her off.
She made Lisa's life horrible. She would knock on her door and run away. She would knock on the windows.
It's believed that Jody slashed Travis's tires, not once, but on 2 consecutive nights when Travis was at Lisa's house.
So at this point, Lisa's scared. And so she asks Travis to stay the night, and Travis slept on the couch and Lisa slept in her room. And the next morning, Lisa woke up to an email.
Lisa received a note with heavy religious language saying that if you ever lay with this man again, God will punish you. Your heavenly Father must be deeply ashamed of the whoredoms you've committed with this insidious man.
His friends obviously knew this came from Jody, but it was anonymous, so there was never any proof of it.
When he confronts her, she denies everything. This isn't even love anymore for Jody. This is a complete obsession. Travis has become Jody's sole focus.
It was a fatal attraction. Definitely a fatal attraction here.
He makes me sick and he makes me happy. He makes me sad and miserable. And he makes me feel uplifted and beautiful.
The further she sunk in this relationship, the more depressed she grew and actually had talked about taking her own life.
I was honestly contemplating suicide this afternoon. I want nothing more than to end it all.
After about 8 months, Travis convinces Jody to move back to California from Mesa.
She finally just picked up and went back home to her parents and grandparents.
It just became obvious with time that we needed to be apart. We needed to grow apart.
I was excited, and Travis was excited. He said, I'm getting my life back. This is a whole new start. She's gone.
This was supposed to be a new beginning for both of them.
She goes back to California, but it's definitely not the end of it.
You make me so horny. I seriously think about having sex with you every day. Several times a day.
This year will be the best year of my life. This is the year that will eclipse all others. I will find an eternal companion that enhances me exponentially.
So Jody Arias and Travis Alexander are now 1,000 miles apart. She's in California, he's in Arizona. They're broken up. It's finally done. Over. And they're each moving on with their lives.
A huge weight has been lifted off my shoulder. I'm saddened, yes, but it feels like a conclusion. Like closure. The final chapter was finally written.
And he was excited about getting his life back to normal, not having to deal with her all the time. So things were looking really good.
Each of them is pursuing somebody else.
He started dating a woman named Mimi.
Devout Mormon seems to be someone that he could settle down with.
Mimi was very well educated. She was eloquent. She was confident. And he was just smitten with her. In the meantime, Jody seems to have found her own new love interest as well.
she starts having a relationship with this new guy. His name is Ryan Burns.
Ryan Burns is a Mormon who has the body of a linebacker, big guy. Jody described him as a hottie biscotti.
I met Jody Arias at a national convention for our company. She was very easy to talk to. She seemed very intelligent, articulate. She was beautiful.
He lives in Utah. Jody and Ryan start this long distance relationship where they're talking all the time and making plans to meet up.
Meanwhile, Jody and Travis, while living hundreds of miles apart, they're still talking on the phone and texting.
This was the classic can't live with you, can't live without you scenario. They both knew that they were toxic for each other, but they had this connection that they couldn't break. They couldn't cut the cord entirely.
We are truly good people at the core, both of us, but we can't behave ourselves when we're around each other, not even over the phone. He said I'm still like kryptonite to him.
So now they would call each other and have phone sex. Unbeknownst to him, she was tape recording him.
You're pretty. Thank you. You are just so attractive. Like everything about like the details of your body are so hot.
On May 10th, Jody Arias records them having sex on the phone, and it is triple X-rated.
I wish you were here. If you were here, my grandparents would asleep. I'd let you right into my bedroom. We'd shut and lock the door, and we would just have a big bed. You'd go at it all night. You make me so horny. I seriously think about having sex with you every day. Several times a day. Sit on in a glass of your straight. Well, if it's wrong, then I don't want to be right.
I think Jody recorded it to have a weapon in her arsenal to use against him if he did something that she didn't like, or just to threaten him with. Because within a few weeks, they're having a huge fight over G-chat and email.
Back and forth, long communications where he is enraged.
You've hurt me so bad, over and over again. You made me want to die. You don't know what horror you have caused me.
Please understand that. It wasn't really my intention to harm you.
They never quite reveal, either one of them, what exactly they're arguing about. What made him so upset?
He says, you're a sociopath, you scammed me, you lied to me, you're not who you say you are, you're the most evil person I've ever met. It is bad. It is the fight to end all fights. And I think a lot of people thought at that point, great, it's done. Time for each of you to get on with your lives.
In early June, both Travis and Jody have travel plans with different people. Jody is supposed to go to Salt Lake City to visit her new love interest, Ryan Burns.
I was interested in getting to know her better. She actually called me and said she's going to go on a road trip and she wanted to come out and visit me. I said, cool, sounds awesome. Yeah, you should definitely come out.
And Travis has plans too, with Mimi. The two have gone on a few dates, but Mimi's a bit lukewarm on him.
He really liked Mimi, but she liked him as a friend. She didn't want to date him.
So Travis sets about trying to win her over and invites her. There's a company retreat coming up in Cancun, Mexico.
He wanted Mimi to come with him to see him in his element.
My job was to convince Mimi how amazing Travis was. Pretty easy job.
This was a marketing ploy for Travis, for the T-Dog.
So Chris and I had gone several days before, and Travis and Mimi were going to meet us later. He was super excited about this trip, and we were calling Travis to try to plan some excursions with him and Mimi.
We wanted to, look at the pyramids. We wanted to swim with whale sharks. Well, so I'm calling him and I'm texting him. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? He wasn't responding.
Then Travis missed a conference call that he was supposed to run. And Chris said that's not like Travis to miss the call. He becomes worried and he leaves him a voicemail message.
I said, T-Dog, you better be dead, bro. Yeah, like I was joking. Call me back. Why are you dissing me? Why aren't you calling me back?
Nobody can reach Travis. Nobody has seen Travis. They know something is wrong. There's a company retreat coming up in Cancun, Mexico. all expenses paid. Travis is going with Mimi. Travis's friends have gone ahead a few days before Travis was supposed to fly out. Once they get to Cancun, they keep calling Travis. But it's very strange, they can't reach Travis. Our call has been forwarded to an automatic... His phone just kept going to voicemail. We kept trying to call again and again, and all of a sudden the voicemail was full. At the same time, Mimi is getting concerned because they're supposed to leave to Mexico the next day. By June 9th, it has been 5 days since any of Travis's friends have heard from him. A few of Travis's friends, including Mimi, go to Travis's house. They knock, but nobody's answering the door. So they call another friend to get the garage code. Travis has rented out bedrooms in the house, so he's got 2 roommates. They hear music on in Zach's room, who is one of Travis's roommates. And they ask him, hey, have you seen or heard from Travis? He said, no, he's in Mexico. And Mimi said, he's not in Mexico. I'm supposed to go with him to Mexico tomorrow.
So that roommate gets the key to Travis's bedroom.
I found the key to Travis's bedroom, and so I unlocked the door.
When they first cast open the doors from the master bedroom, there's this smell, this horrendous foul odor, something that appears to be rotting.
At this point, my heart was pounding, just because I feared for the worst. I opened the door, and immediately as soon as I opened it, there was a puddle of blood on the carpet. And so as soon as I saw that, I walked in, walked past it. I looked down the hallway to his bathroom, and so I could see the blood all over the ground, all over the walls.
As he turns the corner, he spots Travis curled up in the shower, and he's clearly dead and has been dead for several days. The friends frantically exit the bedroom and call 911.
What's going on? A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We haven't heard from him for a while. We think he's dead. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood. I didn't go in, but I can give you the phone to someone who went in there. Yes, please.
Hello. He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for a few days.
She said that there's blood. So is it coming from his head? Did he cut his head?
It's all over the place.
Shortly before midnight on June 9th, Mesa Police Detective Esteban Flores arrived on the scene.
The first thing that caught my eye was the amount of blood all over. All over. Floors, sinks, the wall, even saw some on the ceiling, on the windows. It was everywhere. First thing I thought was there was a major struggle in here. He struggled with somebody, I thought maybe even 2 people at that point. My first indication was that it was deeply personal at that point.
Why did you think
somebody knew him. That somebody wanted him dead. It wasn't as though it was a burglary. It was somebody wanted to make sure that he was dead.
He was slaughtered. There's no other way to describe it. Was one of the most gruesome scenes many of the police had ever seen.
Travis was stabbed multiple times.
We began to count as many wounds as we could at that point, and we had to stop. There was just too many.
The wounds were not just numerous, they were devastatingly deep. I mean, his throat was cut from ear to ear.
Yes, it was hard to deal with. All the wounds were. When, you roll him over and you saw the several wounds on his back in a tight cluster, this guy was almost motionless at that point, and just stabbing him in the back.
Whoever murdered this man was standing inches away from him when it happened. And as he crawled or staggered and tried to escape, they followed him. This was personal.
It was 3 or 4 in the morning. The phone rings. It was a colleague, and he said, Chris, T-Dog's dead. And I remember just saying, almost like howling, like, no. And oh my gosh, how did this happen?
It was a shock. I couldn't feel anything. I was sitting in the room by myself, and it hit me. Travis was gone. detectives spent a total of 3 days at that house processing the crime scene. They're looking for fibers, fingerprints, footprint, hairs. They're looking for anything they can find that can help them reconstruct the crime. What happened?
It was an all couple. Everybody was there because we had a whodunit.
Did you see any murder weapons at the scene?
No, absolutely none.
So there was no knife?
No.
No gun?
No. It wasn't until the first morning that I happened to look down on the bloodstained tile, and I realized it was a shiny little object there, and it was a small bullet casing.
That was interesting to us because looking at the body, you really couldn't tell because of the mummification whether or not the person had been shot.
He had been murdered at least 3 times over. 27 stab wounds. His neck sliced. To top it off, he was shot in the head.
This was overkill to the extreme.
Investigators find on the wall leading to the bathroom a bloody palm print. Stray, long brown hairs are found on the bathroom floor and some stuck to the wall. The sheets had been removed from the mattress. Quite bizarre.
Travis Alexander's killer decided to wash the sheets. Cops make their way to the washing machine.
We went through the laundry room, and something just caught my eye, and it was on the washing machine. There was a slight little red stain. I just happened to lift the lid of the washing machine, and lo and behold, there's a camera.
A camera?
Yes.
Inside the washing machine?
That's extremely unusual. The computer forensic investigator called me up and said, "You're not going to believe what I just found."
It's the clue that's going to unlock this entire case.
That's unheard of, to have that kind of evidence.
This is about obsession. We are young. White hot sex. Rage. Love is a battlefield.
She was a chameleon.
Very possessive.
His kryptonite.
This was a woman, a gorgeous woman, who was fulfilling all of his sexual desires.
He made me feel unique and special.
The trial was a circus. It was Arizona's version of the O.J. Simpson trial.
Jealous, devious killer shooting her boyfriend, stabbing him.
Raunchy graphic pictures.
This was the classic, can't live with you, can't live without you.
You know, it was a fatal attraction. Definitely a fatal attraction.
He was murdered. They're all thinking, she did it.
She had gone from blonde bombshell, sex pot, boom. Now she's walking into court looking like a librarian.
And we're like, that's it? Are you kidding me? You sliced this guy up and stabbed him. And you don't remember any of it?
None of it proves that I committed a murder.
But Jody is still fighting, and she has a pending appeal right now.
So, is this case ever gonna be really over? Who knows?
Love is a battlefield.
I just wanted to offer any assistance that I might have. I was really good friend of Travis's.
What have you heard so far?
I heard that he passed away, and I heard there was a lot of blood. I heard that his friends asked him, or people were. I'm sorry.
Within hours of the body being discovered, Jody calls the homicide detective to ask what was going on.
Do you know when all this happened? I mean, I got a call last night, but is there any word on?
Sometime between Thursday and last night. But we're not sure yet.
She asks questions, but she doesn't seem to be overly stressed or overly concerned.
Maybe you can't talk about this, but was there like any kind of weapon used, or was there a gun? Was there?
I can't say what type of weapon was used, but yeah, I'm guessing there was a weapon by some type of injuries that were left behind.
She wanted to know how he died, and she was probing for information. It's almost like I was being interviewed by her.
I've heard that nobody's been able to get a hold of him for almost a week, and that was about the last time I spoke to him too.
And what did you guys talk about?
It was brief. I was driving out to Utah, and, he was like, are you going to talk to me? And I'm like, no.
She's explaining to him that she had been on a road trip to see this Ryan Burns, her newest love interest in Utah, and that she, in fact, broke up with Travis some time ago and hadn't seen him for months.
I know people were saying that she wasn't in town, but her name was coming up. She was an ex-girlfriend. She wouldn't leave Travis alone.
His closest friend began mentioning your name as, hey, you need to call her because she probably knows what happened to him, or she possibly had something to do with it.
Oh, gosh. No.
Detective Flores says, hey, people are saying that you guys had a fatal attraction. Jody immediately denies ever being in Arizona or anywhere near Travis's house on the night he was killed.
How would you describe your relationship with him?
We dated for like 5 months, and we broke up and continued actually to see each other. I kind of feel embarrassed talking about this, but it wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend. It was more like kind of buddy.
And you guys were not like romantically together at any time, or?
We were intimate, but I wouldn't say romantic as far as the relationship goes.
So you say intimate, does that include like a sexual relationship with him?
Yeah, it does.
Detective Flores becomes increasingly intrigued by Jodi Arias. Here we have a former girlfriend of a man whose friends have said the ex-girlfriend's a woman scorned and angry, and now the former girlfriend's on the phone saying we're still having secret sex.
Yeah, and if you could just keep it confidential for now, because I know that he's more seriously looked down upon, and I'm not sure.
Jodi basically talks herself right up to the top of the list of potential suspects.
I had contacted her and said, look, if you're ever in town, please get a hold of me. We're getting fingerprints and DNA from everybody who has been in the house. And she said, absolutely, I'm coming down for his memorial service.
I just remember there being tons and tons of people. It was a great service. A lot of my siblings spoke.
Just loved to be with his family and his friends and just bring joy to everybody's life. He truly loved life.
Memorial service, I think, looking back on it, would have been something that he would have really liked, and they honored him in a very, very good way.
She showed up at the memorial for Travis down in Arizona as if she's some grieving widow.
They look across the room, and there is Jodi Arias. He was murdered. They're all thinking, she did it.
His family members were there, some family members, and there's a part of me that wanted to reach out to them. I don't think that they would have felt comfortable with me approaching them as much as I wanted very much to express my condolences.
While Jodi's in town and the investigation is ongoing, police are collecting evidence from everybody. Jodi volunteers to go down to the police station and be fingerprinted.
She got her fingerprints done. I had a DNA sample from her, and that's all I needed.
The detectives wanted Jodi's DNA because there was a bloody palm print at the murder scene, and they wanted to see, does it match Jodi Arias's? Well, until the forensics come back, there's a waiting game.
What doesn't take long to analyze is the memory card in that camera found in the laundry room. That took just a matter of days.
A computer forensic investigator, he's in office just below me. He called me up and said, you're not going to believe what I just found.
To their shocking surprise, there are photographs on this digital camera that are date stamped from the day of the murder.
He asked me, who's this girl? Because she was there the same day that he was killed. And I took one look at it and I said, oh my goodness, that's Jodi Arias. She lied to me. She was there.
They find photos of both Travis and Jodi in sexually provocative positions. Photos of Travis in the shower, looking directly at the camera.
I believe that's the last photo that was taken of him before something happened.
The camera apparently accidentally somehow fell and took a couple shots during the course of the killing. Unbelievable.
One of the photos is of the back of Travis's head with blood running down, and in the foreground is a leg and a foot wearing blue pants.
It is one of the most astounding pieces of evidence in the history of jurisprudence.
The idea that even as the homicide occurred, the camera is continuing to click photographs. It's almost like having somebody videotape your murder. The photographs are a huge deal in the case, but they're just one piece of the puzzle. They need that DNA to come back.
It takes about a month for the blood in that palm print to come back. And what it shows is the blood in that palm print is Jody and Travis's.
It's like, oh my goodness, we now have evidence that places Jody physically at the scene with blood on her hand.
Within a week, Flores is in Wairika working with the Siskiyou Sheriff's Department to pick Jody up.
Jody Arias is taken into the interrogation room, and what she does there stuns the world.
Who does that?
It's been about a month since Travis's murder, and the cops have now gone to California. They are in Jody's hometown, and they're about to move in and arrest her.
We knocked on her door with several deputies and placed her in handcuffs and told her she was under arrest for Travis's murder.
It was almost an out-of-body kind of experience. It was like I was watching the whole thing unfold.
I remember vividly her being walked towards me, and she had handcuffs on, and she took one look at me, smiled, and said, "Hello, Detective Flores, how are you doing?"
I traveled all the way over here to talk to you because I believe you can help us.
I would love to help you in any way that I can.
They just wanted to know my whereabouts on the day he passed away. They wanted to know a little bit about certain sequence of events.
Obviously, their number one goal here is to just get a confession. The investigator starts asking her questions, obviously about where she was during the time Travis was killed.
She says she was on her way to Salt Lake City, Utah to meet with a new love interest, Ryan Burns.
You took a trip and you decided to go to, instead of going over to Utah, you went straight out to Los Angeles area. And which route did you take from there?
I was supposed to get on the 15 and go all the way up. And I somehow got off the 15.
Where did you end up?
For a while I was lost. I don't know where Phoenix is, and they said it's gotta be over here. I didn't go anywhere near there.
The problem with Jody Arias' story is that this road trip has her arriving in Utah a day late. And that's what Detective Flores keys in on. Where were you that day?
This is what people are focusing on. It's this trip that you took. Because they're saying she left. She left until Thursday, Wednesday. That's when Travis was killed.
I did not go near his house.
Jody has a slew of excuses about how she had this very strange trip. Jody says, "Oh, my phone died."
I honestly got lost. It's bad timing.
Darn. Of all days, at the same time Travis was being stabbed dead, Jody Arias claims to be lost, alone, and without a cell phone. Now, that's convenient.
We tried to contact her maybe 3 or 4 times throughout that day, and every time we called, it went straight to voicemail.
She shows up looking quite different. Gone is her platinum blonde hair, it's suddenly dyed back brown.
We watched a movie and spent some time together.
The two start making out very passionately. This is within hours of Travis Alexander being slaughtered.
We kissed a few times. We never had sex, but she certainly wasn't acting like she had something troubling her in any way.
maybe she just doesn't have the same ability of emotions that the rest of us do. I don't get it. Or she's doing a really good job of acting.
As Detective Flores keys in on that missing day on Jody's road trip, he keys in on something else. About a week before Travis's murder, a gun went missing from Jody's grandparents' house.
You guys reported a gun stolen. 25 auto. Just happens to be the same caliber as the weapon used to kill him.
A 25 auto was used to kill Travis.
She's always articulate, soft-spoken. She seems sincere.
I'm not guilty. I didn't hurt Travis. If I hurt Travis, if I killed Travis, I would beg for the death penalty. I'm not a murderer.
I was thinking, oh, is she really telling the truth? Do I not have the right person?
If Travis were here today, he would tell you that it wasn't me.
Very quickly, I just snapped back into it and said, no, I've got the right person. She's just a really good liar.
Were you at Travis's house on Wednesday?
Absolutely not. I was nowhere near Mason.
The detective is going on and on with Jody, and he's just not getting anywhere. Finally, the detective decides he's gonna pull his card.
Detective Flores plays his ace, and his ace is those photos, which placed Jody in Travis's bed a few hours before he was killed.
What if I could show you proof you were there? Will that change your mind?
I wasn't there.
You guys had a sexual encounter, which there's pictures. And I know you know there's pictures, because I have them, and they're dated and time-stamped on the day he died.
Are you sure it's me? I mean, because I was not there.
It's you. The camera actually took a couple of photos by accident during the time he was being killed.
Really?
Yeah, Joey, really.
Can you imagine what is going through her mind?
She must have been thinking, how did I leave that camera in the washer? Gosh, I thought I covered all my steps.
The first photo that Detective Flores pulls out is Jody in all her naked glory.
I covered the private areas of the picture because I didn't want her to be embarrassed.
It's you. I wanted to cover you up because that's you. All of you.
That looks like me.
That is you.
She looks at it, lifts up, looks at it again, and went, that looks like me. It is you!
This one I don't know if I should show you, but it's just one of the photos that was taken by accident.
It was very disturbing. It showed what looked like maybe it was Travis and what looked like a perpetrator of some sort.
It's your foot, Jody. That's Travis.
This is his bathroom. That is not my foot.
No matter how much evidence I would tell her about, she was not going to admit that she was even there.
The left palm print at the scene. In blood. This one, you absolutely cannot explain that away.
Could my palm print have already been there and touched it?
Jody, this is over. This is absolutely over.
Jody, even in the face of incontrovertible evidence that proves that she was there at the time of the murder, Jody is still in denial.
This is a really trivial question, and it's going to reveal how shallow I am. But before they book me, can I clean myself up a little bit?
You're going to be taken the way you are.
Thank goodness they had a camera going, because nobody would believe what happened next. She does this weird yoga-like back bend that's kind of sexual. She sings.
Stars are brightly shining.
She even does a headstand in the interrogation room. Who does that?
I've noticed there was carpet on the floor, and I thought, this might be the last time I see carpet, so I'm going to do a headstand.
There's no words really to describe that kind of thought process.
Very, very odd behavior for someone accused of murder.
You should have at least done your makeup, Jody. Gosh.
She wanted to put makeup on prior to getting her booking photo done because she knew that her picture was going to be on the internet and it's going to be on the news.
Jody is a narcissist, without a doubt. She wasn't about to have her mugshot taken without looking as pretty as possible.
She smiled for the camera. That is Jodi Arias.
Jodi returns to her jail cell, and the next day she has an entirely different story.
He was just held the gun to my head. I was so scared.
After spending a night in jail, Jodi Arias comes in for a second day into the interrogation room, this time wearing an orange prison jumpsuit.
Now she has an astounding story to tell.
Brought her back in the following morning. Asked her again if she was willing to talk.
What is it you can tell me about that day?
She said she would only talk to me.
Did Travis know you were coming? He knew?
This is hard.
You remember what time we moved in?
3 a.m. Still dark.
You stayed in the house?
Slept.
In this story, Jodi was there at Travis's house. She said they went to sleep, then they had sex, and then she decided to start taking some photos of Travis while he was taking a shower.
And then suddenly all hell breaks loose. And she is attacked, and he is attacked.
I don't really know what happened after that. Exactly. Except I think he was shot. I don't really remember, except Travis was screaming. I think I got knocked out, but I don't think it was that long.
She came up with a off-the-wall story of 2 intruders in black and ski masks coming in to assassinate Travis.
They were white Americans, from what I could tell. They had, what do you call those things? They were like beanies, but they cover your whole face.
This became known as the ninja story, that 2 people dressed all in black had come and killed Travis for some unknown reason.
One was a guy and one was a girl. They had an argument back and forth, and she wanted to kill him, he didn't.
If they came to kill Travis, and they killed him in such a heinous way, 27 stab wounds, shot in the head, why in the world are they not even going to touch you?
Why didn't they kill you?
He said that's not what we're here for.
I'm trying not to laugh inside because you have to be a good actor, to go along with her. And you try to show her that you have compassion for her story, knowing the whole time that she's the one who did it.
Did she have any weapons with her?
I thought she was the one with the gun, but maybe she had the gun, but he had a gun. So whether there were 2 guns or 1 gun, I don't know. He started coming in toward the bathroom too, and I...
What happened, Jodi? What did you see?
I turned out like a little bitch.
You know what? This woman should win an Oscar for her performance.
He was just held the gun to my head, and he was like, "You don't go anywhere." And he told the other girl to finish it.
In Jodi's explanation of the ninja, she has herself fighting with the female. She wanted the police to believe that she was trying to protect Travis.
She came after me, and she didn't get me.
How was she gonna get you? Did she have a weapon?
She had a gun.
You said she had a gun before.
I don't know if she had a gun.
They pointed out to her, well, wait. You changed weapons on me. What did she have, a gun or a knife?
Jodi continues to come up with phenomenal detail. She describes Travis looking at her, still conscious despite being mortally wounded, and pleading with her to go run and get help.
I couldn't leave without him. I was trying. I just said, come on, come on. You know, he was naked, but I didn't care. Just come on. And he was like, I can't. I said, come on. He's like, I can't feel my legs.
The masked intruder story really had a sort of fantastical movie-like ending to it.
He got my registration out of my wallet. He said, you must be that bitch from California. And he said, you ever say anything about this? He said, they'll do to my family the same way. He said, you need to leave, and I
ever tell anybody what you saw here, I don't think that would get past a Hollywood script, right?
The defense could take was basically make Jody the victim, demonize Travis as much as possible.
The strongest play of the defense was to point to Travis Alexander's hypocrisy, that he was viewed as a chaste Mormon when he was having this sordid sexual relationship with this woman.
The defense introduced a much anticipated audio recording.
You'll actually hear a recorded call between Travis and Jody. That's very explicit.
The courtroom's full of a lot of Mormons and women, Travis's family, and we start hearing them having sex.
I'm gonna tie you to a tree.
Oh my gosh, that is so debasing. I like it.
The sex tape was like a hand grenade thrown into this trial.
You're bad. You make me feel so dirty.
You are dirty.
We are just horny toads.
Jodi Arias said she was physically battered by Travis Alexander 4 times.
Her mission was basically to murder my brother again for a second time by destroying his reputation.
He crossed the room and he started shaking me. And he body slammed me on the floor. He called me a bitch. And he kicked me in the ribs.
There was absolutely no proof that Travis had ever been physically abusive with her or anyone in his life in the past.
Jodi Arias would stop at nothing to make that jury hate Travis Alexander. What's the worst thing you can say about someone when they're not around to defend themselves?
I went into his bedroom and Travis was on the bed masturbating. And I got really embarrassed. He started grabbing at something on the bed and it was a photograph.
What was in the photograph? What was the photograph of?
It was a picture of a little boy.
I don't know how much lower you can go than labeling a charge of pedophile at somebody, but that's what she did.
None of these claims were ever proven. Police never found child pornography anywhere in Travis's house.
We hear Jodi Arias' testimony about her tortured relationship with this monster, Travis Alexander. But what it all boils down to is what happened the day Travis was murdered.
We were trying out different poses and as I moved the camera, it slipped out of my hand. Travis flipped out and he stepped out of the shower.
So she claims he comes out.
Renowned defense attorney Kathleen Zellner recapped what Jodi says happened in Travis's bathroom.
He lunges at her
And he picked me up. I was crouching, but he lifted me up as he was screaming that I was a stupid idiot.
Flips her over in a body slam.
And he body slammed me again on the tile.
She recovers from it though and takes off down the hall. She claims now she's in fear of her life.
It was like I pissed him off the worst I'd ever seen him pissed off. He almost killed me before, and now he was saying he was going to.
She runs this way, according to her testimony, and then back into the closet.
Exactly.
So I ran into the closet. I remembered where he kept a gun, so I grabbed it.
She grabs the gun. It's a .25 caliber. She continues out this door.
Runs into the bathroom,
Correct.
to the middle of the bathroom, at which point she turns around.
Right.
Like a linebacker, he got kind of low and grabbed my waist. But before he did that, as he was lunging at me, the gun went off.
Shoots him right temple through the left cheek.
Basically, the gun went off and she doesn't remember anything after that.
I don't know if I blacked out or what. There's a huge gap.
Do you remember stabbing Travis Alexander?
I have no memory of stabbing him.
Do you remember dragging him across the floor?
And we're like, that's it? Are you kidding me? You sliced this guy up and stabbed him. You stabbed him in the heart. You almost decapitated him, and you don't remember any of it?
The most clear memory that I have after that point is driving in the desert.
That's all the questions I have, Judge.
The self-defense story was a joke. My brother didn't even own a gun.
The defense's case was not very strong. To try and paint Travis as this abusive pedophile just wasn't believable.
It was never backed up with evidence. It was just Here's Jody's story, believe me or not.
Ladies and gentlemen, I understand you have reached a verdict.
I'm kind of grasping the armrest.
I remember hearing somebody let out gas.
But it's not over.
Another day of deliberating coming to an end for jurors in Jodi Arias' very high-profile murder trial.
It was very nerve-wracking to wait for that verdict.
We'd been in this trial for nearly 5 months and living this case for much longer than that.
On the day of the verdict, that was a zoo. Just people everywhere.
The jury came in, they sat down, and it was very somber.
We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty.
I remember hearing somebody let out a gasp and then incredible relief.
As word made its way outside the courtroom, the crowd burst into joyous applause.
Everybody in my family was bawling. They were happy. We were all hugging.
I was really hoping the jury would see things for what they are. I feel a little betrayed by them. I don't dislike them. I didn't expect to walk away, but certainly not first degree.
Now we had to get into the penalty phase. Jody has the right to speak to the jury and tell them why she should not be put to death.
The people who will hurt the most are my family. I'm asking you, please don't do that to them.
She spoke all about the things that she would do in prison.
If I get permission, I'd like to implement a recycling program. Additionally, I've designed a t-shirt. This is the t-shirt.
She held up a t-shirt that said Survivor, which was a real slap in the face to Travis Alexander's family, who doesn't believe that she had been a victim of domestic abuse.
I want everyone's healing to begin, and I want everyone's pain to stop.
The jury deliberated, and they were 8 for death and 4 for life.
The jury gives up. A decision on her fate is postponed.
We can't come to a decision, and it was gut-wrenching.
A completely new jury is called, and a new trial is held just to decide what the sentence should be.
A jury in Phoenix voted 11-1 in favor of the death penalty, not enough to send her to death row.
And under the law in that jurisdiction,
for the rest of her natural life,
2 mistrials at death penalty phase equals life behind bars.
Jodi is in Perryville Prison in Arizona, where she will spend every day for the rest of her life.
All right. But it's not over yet.
This court should reverse Miss Arias' conviction.
The case has gone up on appeal.
It's part of the appeal claim that because of misconduct by prosecutor Juan Martinez, that Jodi deserves a new trial.
The state denies any misconduct, saying that Jodi Arias had a fair trial.
I don't think Jodi Arias is going anywhere, but she is.
तेरी टोर मस्तानी है बस सूट तेरो सत रंग गो सूट तेरो सत रंग गो तेरी चढ़ती जुबानी है वो सूट तेरो सत रंग गो तेरी बायां विच बंग सोबे वो अखां विच सुरमो तेरे अखां विच सुरमो तेरे हाथ मेहंदी गो रंग सोबे वो कुड़ी बलेस गिए गल विच डोर सोनी लौंग तेरो दूर चमके लौंग तेरो दूर चमके बाकी तेरी टोर सोनी बकुड़ी बलेस गिए तेरी बोली गो के कहनो वो बोल तेरा सुन सुनेंगे बोल तेरा सुन सुनेंगे कड़ी पल तिना देखता रहनो वे कुड़ी बलेस गिए तेरी का जामी वो चोरी चोरी मिल नाजल चोरी चोरी मिल नाजल मत सामने आ जावे वो कुड़ी बलेस गिए जियो सुनो फुल कोई नी वो दुनिया माला कीमत दुनिया माला कीमत तेरो किते भी मुल कोई नी वो कुड़ी बलेस